That's why horror movies are so successful. They make movies like out of nothing or with no money.
I think the brilliance of the horror genre now. So it started off with Freddy versus Jason, Michael
Okay.
Myers, just straight up. But now horror has transformed more into very character-driven stories.
More thriller and thinky,
Yes,
heady stuff. Yeah.
it's incredible, and they don't need big budgets because they're not. Someone's not jumping on a dragon having to go to the
Yeah.
next planet.
Yeah.
You can do very granular, realistic monsters, and so for some of these movies, like me and you have talked about, you don't even need a monster. You just can
Right.
use,
Yeah.
what was it you said? Just angles and
It's the way you less is more with these monsters.
And that's why I'm excited about the horror movie genre, is because of that. It's going to be low budget, but it's going to be some of the best storytelling you're going to get today.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're not going to have big actors,
Right.
but they're good enough.
You're gonna have your James Badge Dales, and they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be perfect. That's all you need.
Sir James. Yes.
That's all you need.
The poor guy, man. He's never getting out of the genre, bro.
No, but that's all right. We love
But
him for it.
But yeah, he's perfect
Yeah.
because he doesn't have the star power to be.
You don't want Tom Cruise in a horror movie.
No. Oh gosh, I just had a quick thought. Wow. I mean, is he even gonna get scared? Is he even gonna have
Yeah.
or is he just gonna be like, all right, we gotta figure this out?
Well, when you see a big star, it takes you out of it. You know.
It does. If the main cast is walking down the hallway, and the monster starts charging him, and then Tom Cruise suddenly appears as well, I'm like, all right,
Well, I guess it's problem solved.
I'm on the monster side now. Let's see if we can get Cruise here. Like, probably not. We're probably dying ASAP, but there are so many really, really well-paced, incredible horror movies out in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Dozens.
Yeah. Amazing.
Directors that, you
never heard
heard of.
Yeah.
Actors who most of us never heard of.
Seen, never heard of.
And the
Yeah.
budgets sit from 5 to 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Dude, talk about a good business model
Yeah.
right there. Did you see, I think Fall, yeah.
Yeah.
They climb this water tower that's who knows how high, extremely high,
Yeah.
and they get stuck. And it is one of the best character-driven stories I've watched in a while because their past plays into kind of like what we said with Thrawn and Ezra, what should happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their past plays into one another's growth. It's
Okay.
so good, dude. And then you have movies like Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider that to be like and The Black Phone, like lower, kind of what we're talking about, or do those kind of like transcend a little bit what we're talking about here? Because those have some pretty big actors.
Transcend out the. Well, yeah, Ethan Hawke obviously is huge.
That's an A-list actor.
I did not like the casting of Ethan Hawke in that movie, and here's why: because we love Ethan Hawke so much,
Oh yeah.
and we know that it's just Ethan Hawke behind the. It needs to be a nobody actor.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what this person is capable of. Even though we know, Ethan Hawke, he's probably gonna die at the end of the movie anyway. He's gonna get what's coming to him. But it's like, I knew that he was the good guy, one of the great good guys in Magnificent Seven.
Absolutely.
We know who this guy is. He's got like a comforting feeling to him.
He
know?
does. Yeah.
So I actually did not. I thought that was not great casting. He did a great job.
Yeah.
It was not that he did a bad job. It was just.
I completely, like when the kid was down there in the basement, all I was thinking was upstairs. I'm not thinking, oh, it's the bad guy. What I'm
Right.
thinking is it's Ethan Hawke with a mask on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think who would have fit that.
Oh, he would have been
villain
great.
well.
That's kind of the thing. We're naming people that we know, right? David Harbour comes to mind. I'm not as familiar. See, I'm not as familiar with David Harbour as I am with Ethan Hawke. So maybe
That's an interesting one.
if you're gonna put a name in there, and then there's obviously people who are more familiar with David Harbour.
So David Harbour is 6'3",
Mm.
like 240.
I think a shorter person, that is not a physically. You need a shorter person to play that role. That's not a.
I was about to say.
It's less of a monster villain and more of a psycho villain.
I was about to say, yeah.
Because he never once hurt the boy, right? So you don't really need a bigger, tall person to.
Okay, what about the guy, I forget this kid's name. He's one of my favorite horror actors ever. He was the guy who played the Riddler.
He would have been perfect. Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Paul
yes.
Dano. Tell me that would have
Yeah,
not been
yeah, that would have been
incredible.
perfect.
Because Ethan Hawke's a little too fatherly.
But I think that's a studio move, right? They get,
It's a great.
they're
point.
like, let's hire Ethan Hawke. People know him. People love him. They'll come to see the movie, you know, maybe because he's in it. But, you know, some movies put a name in their movie. Other movies don't, and they don't need it.
I think that's where the studio though gets in their own head.
Yeah.
Because they're like, if we don't have Ethan Hawke in this, no one's gonna come see it.
Right.
And it's like, wait a second, no, like
Yeah.
we care about the story at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And plus, Paul Dano, I would be more interested.
That would have been awesome. Yeah.
Incredible.
That would have been awesome.
And the kids who they casted in it,
They were great.
I forget the guy's name. I know the girl's name is Madison or Madeline McGraw.
Something, yeah.
And she's like, I think her and her sister will be, but they'll be like the next big thing in horror, I think. Both of them. Her sister, whose name escapes me, she's young, she's really young. She's like 10 probably. But she was in Megan. She
Okay.
was in a lot of like good horror, like short films. Let me ask you a final question here. Is horror the best quality genre right now?
It may have always been. I mean, you go back to Jurassic Park is a horror movie, and Alien is a horror movie. It might have always been best quality.
The Thing, I love that
Yeah,
movie.
The
man.
Thing.
John Carpenter, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Jaws, like you had mentioned.
Jaws, yeah.
Is it a blessing that the studio doesn't care as much about the horror genre? I guess that's really what I'm asking.
Kind of flies under the radar in a sense.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. They're not latching on to these.
That's what it
things.
feels like at
Your
least.
A24s and your Blumhouses.
A24 is killing it.
A24, man. I mean, they're in the last decade. They're my favorite. Probably my favorite.
They probably are the best,
Yeah.
production company in the last
Yeah.
10 years. If they get bigger, that's where you go.
And they won the best picture last year.
Those guys right there, the A24
Yeah.
is a Blumhouse.
Yeah.
That's a sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is a sweet spot.
It's a very interesting time in the cinema world. A lot of people now, especially in the streaming era, are just looking for really good stories.